Okay, we welcome on an entrepreneur. He is a diehard sports fan. He is a media mogul. It is Gary Vaynerchuk. Is that how you pronounce your name? That was actually my first question. How do you pronounce your name?
A lot of people like to slip in the D and go
Vanderchuk.
It's a very American thing to do, but
yes.
There is no D.
So we're here in your offices.
Yes.
You have a media empire, and I wanted to start with something a little bit different.
Okay.
You have gotten into the sports agent world.
I have.
So what I wanted to do was have you pitch Alex.
Yes.
If Alex was looking for, say Alex
Got
was,
it.
let's
I'm
say
ready.
2003? 2003,
Yeah.
Alex, like, I need a new agent.
Yes.
You have to tell him
It's
why
super
he
simple.
should.
Alex, this is super simple. The contract stuff is so commoditized. You take care of that on the field. You keep hitting 347 and hit 60 homers.
Mm-hmm.
I can disproportionately take care of the things off the field. The reality is our value prop is that we are really focused on two core things. One, a young, good-looking dude like you is eventually going to stop playing baseball, and things are going to matter, and you're going to realize real quick that when you're 38 or 42 or 45, you're going to give a shit about your life post-baseball. The two biggest variables I think an agent can dictate is dollars made off the field, outside the field, and the contract, and more importantly, what happens to you the day you stop playing this great game in hopefully 20 years, because the reality is the equity comes out of the building. Even though you're going to be a legend and all that, the equity will come out of the building when you're not an active player. I think the reason Vayner Sports is being built is the white space in the industry is the off-the-field dynamics. Because guess what? Any of these guys and gals that are trying to sign you right now, they're going to get you the McDonald's deal. They're going to get you the Toyota deal. My track record with Twitter and Facebook and Uber investment.
What are those? It's 2003.
Oh, got it. 2003. Oh, is this? I have to go 2003?
Wow. Did you invent something?
Got it. 2003. Alex, my incredible understanding of Google, this new search engine that everybody's running ads on, is going to help me get you into a position to make dollars off the field from the long tail of the internet, where there's dollars to be made over the next decade. And you've seen what's happened with the internet over the last 5 or 6 years. It's really exploding.
Are those guys Larry and Sergey I read about a few months ago?
That's exactly right. Those
guys
kids
are crazy.
You
That's
know,
never
you
good
might,
things.
you might have read that they passed on, that they accepted $1 billion offer from Yahoo, but Yahoo pulled out at the last minute. Wow. I have a feeling in the future Yahoo will regret that decision. And that's basically, Kat, what we're doing right now. What's really happening with our Vayner Sports, the company my brother left Vayner Media for and started, and I'm involved with heavily, is I think there's an incredible white space. Now listen, I do think an A-Rod 03 and A-Rod today is a A+. I think for me, over the next 3-5 years, it's gonna be very obvious how much value we bring to A+s, but to me today, even though we're a young firm, the value we bring for a B and a C brand, not only what they're doing on the field, is remarkable. We're making kids off the field right now, just NFL. You know, we're making 4th and 5th round picks, more money in endorsements than first rounders comping out. That's gonna reputation-wise play out. There's kids, they're all in camp right now. I've already gotten a text, you know, where the guy next to him is like, hey, I see you fucking around with Gary V. Like, and very quickly, this 1st round pick has realized my 5th round pick has already made more money off the field. Very quickly, that's like, wait a minute, did I make the right choice? Especially in first contract NFL, where my 8-year-old daughter can do the contract. Right. It's slotted. Yeah. I know Sam Darnold, my boy, took a few more minutes than we wanted, but it was slotted.
Right.
And so that's why we're disrupting that sport.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to talk with Alex and
see how it went.
Hire you.
All right.
Yeah,
I hope it works out.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, you guys are obviously two very, very successful people, and I know a lot of times you talk about success, and I'm sure you've answered this question 10 billion times, and Alex, you probably have as well. But I want to know why, like, what at the base level, when you wake up in the morning, and it's not just, I want to beat everyone or I want to be the best. Like, what is actually driving guys like yourself who have had this type of success in business and sports? You
know, I'd love to hear Alex's perception on this. You know, I'll be honest with you. I do think chips on shoulders, adversity is something that needs to be understood. I think modern day parenting right now is trying to eliminate adversity. Like, I would literally jump out the window right now of this office, and we're pretty high up, if my wife told me that my son entered a league where there aren't winners and losers. I would literally, that would go through my head as, holy shit, my son's going to be a loser. And I think
no, he'd be a winner too. Because
yeah,
they're all winners.
But I mean, in real life, he'd be a
Right.
loser.
Got it,
to your
got it.
point,
Yeah.
everybody would be winners.
Yes.
AKA all those fuck
everyone's a
faces are going to be
loser.
losers in
Yes,
life.
yes.
And so, maybe it was Reed who's hanging in the background that told me about the YMCA. Yeah, we were with Ed Reed, and he was telling a great story about Alex, and then Reed jumped in, Bergman, and said, Alex at that YMCA. Like, to me, losing, adversity, grinding, the climb, when you have those chips on your shoulders, and then it's about recognizing your talent. Not to throw some love your way since you're sitting here and I've been saying it behind your back, it's just really fascinating to me to watch your career in front of the camera evolve, because there's a lot of things you could have done, and you're doing the entrepreneurial thing. Here we are sitting in a podcast. It's funny when you put players in position to succeed. And so to me, it's two core things: adversity and self-awareness. What gets me going? I had adversity, being an immigrant, not having much. Unlike A-Rod, I was not a physical specimen, so there's a lot of sports losing. Unlike A-Rod's beautiful eyes, I didn't have unlimited girl access at 12, 13, 14, 15. I think a lot of those adversities, and then also recognizing that I was an entrepreneur, that I was willing to get shit on with bad grades because I knew I was going to win. And now what it is just I'm in my spot, Kat. Like, to me, I wake up fired up. Only in the last 5 years have I realized, oh shit, thank God I'm not an athlete, because that's what we all want it to be, because that thing ends for 99% of them, not necessarily this guy, because he's still, grinding it, but like, to thought at 32 that my life's mission or what I was great at kind of comes to an end because I've lost a step. I'm 42 years old. It was funny when you said you guys are successful. I kind of weirdly laughed in my head. I'm not kidding. I think you'll find this interesting. I'm like, man, I'm not even fucking started. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not in my prime.
What's your prime?
I think my prime, my intuition, my prime is 12, 14 years
You
away.
haven't even peaked yet.
I really believe that when I look back at 90 of how I played it out, especially knowing why I'm building Vayner, I'm obviously sitting with a lot of information about my own self. My intuition is that the golden era of I need the economy to collapse. If you want to know my prime, I'm sitting like a cobra in the grass, waiting for the economy to collapse, and from those ashes will be my prime. And so I think, at 42, 48 to 57, 53 to 62, I think on the next economic downturn is where I really build the foundation for my business explosion.
Right.
Gary, when you talk about, it's interesting because I always say, give you some data on athletes that actually end up going bankrupt. If you look at, you make 90% of your money as an athlete from age 20 to 30. You take average career is 5.5 years, and from the 750 players in Major League Baseball, less than 5% have a college degree. So I'm not a stockbroker, but if you just take that information alone, I would short the stock.
100%.
And then we go back to what you're talking about. Warren Buffett has made more money after the age of 60
That's right.
than before.
That's right.
And I think the opportunity for an entrepreneur, there's been no better time to be an entrepreneur than today.
That's right.
What you guys are doing at Barstool, what you're doing with Gary. I mean, I love your story about radio, TV, and now it's digital.
That's right.
And one question that I'm really passionate about is obviously baseball.
Yes.
We have some challenges. While the economy has been great, and we've gone from $1 billion when I signed in 1994 to $10 billion, and Commissioner Manfred has said in the next 5 years he wants to take it to 15. Now, NBA is at 16 billion, just so we have a little comparison. So we're at 10 going to 15 billion. However, the average fan is a 58-year-old white guy. That's a challenge. The average game is ending around 11:30 at night. That's a challenge. If you're commissioner and you can just put everything on pause for 12 months, tomorrow morning is your first day in the office, 8 o'clock. Tell me the first 3 things you start doing.
I unwind the culture of BAM. So I don't know if you saw this, either one of you, but I've recently finally publicly given my 2 cents on this thing because listen.
I know what BAM is, but maybe explain
I'll
what
explain
you're
it
talking
immediately.
about.
It's so recently, obviously, Commissioner came out and had a couple of words to say, like, I need Trout's help too. I lost my shit. I lost it because it's, in business terms, here's what Major League Baseball has done over the last decade. They've taken short-term economics at scale by creating BAM, which is baseball's media group, run by Bowman in the past, not anymore, I think, which is right. They
just sold to Disney.
That's right. They a decade ago, what a lot of people thought was smart is they put up big walls, garden walls, where like you couldn't find baseball content on the internet unless baseball itself had its hand in it, and they were able to monetize, right? They got all the revenue. None of these there was no Mike Trout fan 57 posting stuff because baseball was coming in like fucking the USSR and saying, yo, where's our tax? What that did over the last decade, in my opinion, is allowed for the explosion of basketball for many reasons. Look, Javier Baez is charismatic as fuck.
Electric.
Electric as a human being, as a player.
Allen Iverson-like.
100%. In a world where Latino and Hispanic growth in America is exploding, they should be putting a cannon behind him being found everywhere. Do you know how many good-looking baseball players are dating supermodels? A lot. Let me save everybody time. None of these relationships are in Instagram Explore. What baseball has done over the last decade is they've closed down all their digital awareness and made money off of it, which made it harder to find, which made a lot of these kids not find it. It's not free-flowing on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. And what it's done is it's created a culture. Look, I think the most fascinating case study in baseball is Bryce Harper. If you're a real baseball fan or if you're following culture, that kid came into the league with swag on swag on swag. I mean, like a pop-out, he would be on third base. The system, not the argument a lot of people want to make, which is the veteran catcher pulled him aside. Yes, part of it is veteran catcher says, yo, kid, let's not punk there's rules that are hidden here. The entire system has siphoned a lot of Bryce's enormous charisma. And now what we're left with is boring commercials on TV with baseball players, no digital assets. So day one, I would open up the floodgates. I would encourage fans to make unlimited content, podcasts, videos, and would allow for a lot more of the natural content to flow. And I would call a summit literally the first moment I can. If it's tomorrow, I'd wait to November, literally wait for the season to end and create an open invite. And literally the invite would be the following. I would get the owners on board, rally them, be like, hey, you fucking hired me for a year. This is what I'm going to bring to you. And I would literally systematically send out an email to the Players Union and say, if you're charismatic, if you want it, if you want money, advancement, entrepreneurship, if you want your name in the lights, I've got a time slot for you starting November 1st. And I would reverse engineer. I don't want to force Mike Trout to not be who Mike Trout is.
Right.
You have to reverse engineer the individual.
Yeah.
You and I had a very late night meeting the first time we met, right?
Yeah.
And one of the first things I said to you was like, just have to reverse engineer you. Where are you at this point in your life? Same thing I would do with them, right? Francisco Lindor. On and on and on.
So I have a question because it is actually perfect because there's not two better people in the world to answer this. So you brought up the point about the system kind of beating it out of the players. I have always had a theory that is just the nature of baseball, the nature of 162 games, the nature of having to stand in front of the media every single day, the nature of an 18-year-old going to minor leagues.
Yep.
And think about it, right? Like an 18-year-old in basketball, he's in the NBA basically right away. He goes to college for 3 months, whatever. In baseball, you're in the minor leagues for 3-4 years.
Not a lot of the stars, right?
But you're also talking to the media every day and
I get
basically
it.
getting it beaten out of you. Where how can you answer the same question every day? So you almost become a robot. I don't know if that theory is right.
I couldn't disagree with that more.
But I mean, you obviously lived it. Like when you were in front of the media every day, does it eventually get to a point where it's like I'm going to shut down because anytime I say something that's even a little bit of a fire spark.
The
takes
thing
away
that's
from the
most
team.
exciting is A-Rod didn't have the luxury of the world we now live in.
Yeah.
16-year-old Chris Sale that's coming up the ranks right now, he knows. I mean, look, especially with the political climate where the president, obviously, people either agree or disagree very, very heavily on this, but he has used, much like Obama, it is trickle down. It's like people keep building on this. He's used Twitter to basically not be at the mercy. And I'm positive, because I speak to a lot of athletes all the time, this beauty of going direct to consumer is incredible. I think what it's a much bigger version of is baseball has a very good history of looking the other way and then blaming its players on some shit that they always understood.
For sure.
And to
we know it. Yeah.
I mean, I can't get over Mike Trout. I would rip both my arms off to have my daughter marry somebody like Mike Trout as a
Me
human.
too. And I have two
both
of
of
them.
them.
I love him.
Literally rip them both off my fucking body right now for a guy like Mike. By the way, I'm talking about as a human, not as a rich baseball player.
Right.
As a human. and you're going to throw that man under the bus because he's not the most extroverted?
Right.
Instead of talking about the fact that you guys have taken the money off the table at the detriment of the long-term value of the sport? Fuck you.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, Alex, you tell me. I mean, if you're in a clubhouse with 25 guys, 40 guys, and one person is going off on Twitter and takes away the spotlight from everyone else, don't you feel the pressure from the rest of the team? Whereas the NBA, obviously, the NBA is a players' league. The NBA, the
Stop
guys,
right there.
they get to say whatever
You
they want.
answered the question,
right.
my man.
But is it?
Of course, in one guy doing that in a system that doesn't support it, yes. But if the system supported
Right.
it,
But here's where I think people get lost because they always compare everything to the NBA, and the NBA is different because the NBA, there's 5 guys on the court, there's 12 guys on a team, whatever.
Yep.
Baseball, you have a huge clubhouse. Football's the same way. Football, guys aren't as outspoken because there are 53 guys in that locker room. So to you, Alex, like if you're in a clubhouse and one guy is taking attention away by speaking his mind on Twitter, does that now become a deal? Do people now say, hey, cut that out? Like, you're here with the team. You can't be like that.
There's no question that baseball is probably the most judgmental sport. There's more China walls, is more of an institution where it's closer to golf than basketball. And in 2017, 2018, 2019, that's not good. But I will say this. I think WoW is a $10 billion industry today. NBA's gone to 16. I mean, they've blown past us. People don't know this. There's a $1 billion business, a $4 billion business in China. There's over 100 people. Gary, just like you have hundreds of people here, NBA has that in China, and they've been there for a long time. Kobe was there. Yao Ming was there. But here is where I believe Major League Baseball is leaving the most money on the table. If they left McKinsey and they left Bain and they said, let's go hire Gary and Alex to be consultants, here would be my first advice. And this is free advice because I love the game and I want the game to grow. Everyone says baseball's too long. We've all heard that. Mm-hmm. Baseball season's too long. Spring training is too long. The baseball games are 3.5 hours. Talking about reverse engineering that, Gary. How about this? Let's use our journey, our marathon season, for a strength, not for a weakness. What does that mean? We have the greatest content in the world. Because we're long, we have unlimited content. So instead of, let's just say, BAM, doing that, we just say, hey, how about you have kids, you will have kids, I have kids. If my daughter or my son wants to not watch a 3-hour game, I get that. But here's what they do want to watch. I guarantee it, and listeners will want to watch this too. And the folks listening, I want to know, raise your hands if you're in or you're out. 4 to 7 p.m. every day, I go Yankees.com, you go Jets.com, not Jets, Mets or whoever you want, and you go Cubs.
Whatever loser you root for, Gary.
I press a button, and I have 30 stadiums. There's 60 batting cages, okay? So you go to Yankee Stadium, you got a visitor, and you got a home. There's 2 batting cages. Those are hot, starting at 4 to 7. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm an enormous Aaron Judge fan. You know, Giancarlo Stanton. I can just go to Yankees and go, boom. Look, Dad. Oh, my God. Oh, hey, wow, he's using the T, Dad. Oh, now he's doing soft toss. Dad, why is he doing this? What person in the world for 5 minutes is not going to watch Mike Trout every day, Bryce Harper every day? And by the way, the other question is, would you pay $5.99 a month for this? You're damn right you will.
Or if you guess 5 pitches in a row, that if it's a home run or not, because that's it, A-B, home run or not in batting practice, do you win a discount on tickets or get to go into the stadium? Oh, by the way, when the team already knows it has 17,000 empty seats. So if I live within a 40-mile radius and I watch Lindor and I guess for 5 minutes, homer, no, homer, yes, no, and I win, that I could go to the game on a free ticket. Better than having an empty seat, I get the concessions. Alex, what you're talking about is storytelling. Guys, boxing was dead in this country, and then they decided to make 24/7, and fucking Floyd made $1 billion on the back of it because my wife watched the Marquez Pacquiao 24/7, and she's like, oh, Marquez's kids are cute.
Right.
This is storytelling. Vince McMahon makes fucking guys who are acting out a sport compelling to us through storytelling. You're telling me that Major League Baseball can't, whether it is the batting practice, whether it's the grumpy old coach, whether it's the groundskeeper's documentary of being there for 71 years, what you're talking about is very simply one thing: storytelling. You know, the way the world has always worked. The reason there's even religion, if you really want to go there and you can get as upset with me or not as you want. It is storytelling. Baseball does none of it. It suffocates it for short-term clicks of 5 cents a fucking pre-roll, and we have no clue all these ridiculous stories. Do you understand that if we made a micro movie right now of Jim Abbott, do you know how many people... Jim Abbott.
Yeah.
Jim Abbott hasn't been in the league in 20 fucking plus years. The man had one arm. He played in the league. If we did a 7-minute bio, a mini doc on Jim Abbott and ran Facebook ads against people that were, you know, like into nonprofits or things that we are not telling stories, whether it, you know, and that's the bottom line. Baseball has completely punted digital storytelling for short-term economics, and it will feel the pain of that.
Gary, the other thing is if you don't have this, because obviously this doesn't exist, here's the other part is if you now drive 2 hours to come to Yankee Stadium or Shea Stadium or Citi Field, guess what? You can't watch Aaron Judge hit because by the time you get in, he's already done.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that Hall of Fame is the greatest week in the world. I want to see who are the cool people? I have no idea. Selena Gomez, Pitbull, Katy Perry. Every day should be a big event. Big event.
Couldn't agree more. And by the way, what about the fact that when you're following these players, baseball doesn't have a culture of allowing you to follow? For example, what about when the game's over? Let me tell you about another sport that's going to pass baseball, esports. What about the fact that at 12:04, after the game on the West Coast or the East Coast or wherever, however you want to play it, the fact, you know how many of these young 22-year-old, 23-year-olds, after they're done with their, the game, showered, all this, if we had access to watch them play Fortnite, how many of our favorite I want to watch Andrew McCutchen play Fortnite. So does every Pirates fan.
If I was a
Giants fan.
If I was the Kansas City Royals or Tampa Bay, kind of a struggling somewhat, I would go and find the hottest esports team, do a partnerships. 100%. And it'll be Super Saturday, meaning the game starts at 1, 100%. Baseball, and from 5 p.m. to noon in the stadium is esports, and that's the partnership.
But hold on. So I like all these ideas, but it kind of goes back to my original point of a player goes on Fortnite after and they talk shit to some, young kid or something. Now that's a story tomorrow.
Yep.
So the way the
old
culture
middle
and
reliever old middle reliever comes in and says, "Hey, kid, shut your fucking mouth."
Not even that. The media picks up on it, and now there's blog posts, and now you have to deal with walking into the clubhouse. Everyone says, "What's going on here?"
By the way, Kat, you're talking about what matters.
Yeah.
Baseball is not creating. You walked around this office, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to think, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I have a funny feeling across your mind of some degree of something of like, hey, it seems like people like working here.
Yeah.
I've created the 4 walls of safety and culture to make people like it. A lot of buildings, all these fancy buildings, you walk in and it's like Death City because people hate where they work. You're 100% right. Major League Baseball's responsibility, not Mike Trout's responsibility, is to create a culture of supporting their players. Supporting their players.
Yeah.
And that is not what we have.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the steroids thing pisses me off to no end.
Yep.
Baseball knew everything that was fucking going on. And then as soon as it fucking went down, they threw those 20 guys under the fucking bus, period. And it goes on and on. Betting, I don't even want to get into the Pete Rose point of view I have on that. Like, they absolutely take the people that fucking bled out of their fucking dick for the sport and then throw them under the mat. Yeah. And that is going to play out. They have to change this culture.
See, I think I agree with you, and everything you're saying makes sense, but I just think baseball is such a hard sport.
Well, good.
And you know it, Alex. Like, you fail 2/3 of the time and you're in the Hall of Fame. So even just a little extra added pressure. Whereas a LeBron James, LeBron James is not going to all of a sudden just stop being great at basketball. Whereas a hitter goes through a 3-week slump. Is he going to want to play Fortnite when he's when he can't hit anything?
Create a culture where he can make that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. The 1982 NBA Finals was on tape delay. In the late 1970s, that league was about a drug league. It was a super racist kind of undertone. Like, nobody gave a fuck about the NBA. What happened was they treated Jordan, Bird, and Magic like Hulk Hogan. They made them heroes, and they support. Michael Jordan was suspended from the NBA. Michael Jordan was suspended from the NBA.
He
Michael
wanted
Jordan,
to see if he could dominate baseball
get the
as well
fuck
as basketball.
out of here, Cat.
That's
You don't.
really
I
what
know you don't
happened.
believe that.
Yeah,
You're
no, that
way
was
too
he
smart.
was like, I'm
Yeah.
sick of beating the shit out of
Yeah,
everyone
right.
here. Let me go see if
That's
I can
exactly
be awesome
which
at
is
baseball.
why he came back, and then he came
Yeah.
back again.
Well, then,
he was
yeah,
so
then he was
sick
like,
of it.
you know what?
Here's the bottom
I'll
line.
save the NBA.
Michael Jordan was suspended from the NBA for being a hardcore gambler, and they protected him. That is the difference between the NBA and Stern and Silver and Major League Baseball.
No, I don't disagree on
Gary,
that.
here's how you fix MLB baseball.
That's real talk, by the way.
Yeah, no, I don't
Clip that
disagree. They
shit.
need to, instead of doing the Trout stuff, you're right.
Well, here's the
fucking
best
laugh.
way
Go
to
ahead.
make baseball go to the moon is instead of going from 1 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion, 15, you watch the numbers next report come to 7. And you watch, the problem is difficult, good to great, right? That's your biggest enemy. It's easier to go from average or bad to great than from good. When everybody's putting money, they're just saying, hey, don't mess with it.
boat.
Don't mess with it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I
No,
couldn't
you're
agree with you
absolutely
more.
right.
Guys, why is soccer popped in the U.S.? What people
Because hipsters want to sound smart.
no, because FIFA was a
Tattoos?
video game.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, tattoos.
FIFA
Yeah,
was
neck
a
tattoos.
FIFA was a video
Oh,
game
FIFA.
in the late 90s that mattered and changed the course of that sport.
Yeah.
Like people aren't watching how this is all playing out. Baseball lacks culture.
Would you put John Madden in that category?
Yeah, I mean,
With
football,
with
the
game?
NFL. Look, the NFL was the beneficiary of
Gambling.
television. Yes, gambling for sure, which now is open to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, by the way, back to day one, I didn't get to it. I didn't know how. Like we're bouncing around. Like gambling is clearly part of my baseball strategy. By the way,
yeah.
little fun fact. Baseball gambling has been the only time in my career I made money because when you play hardcore fantasy baseball, like hardcore, like 20-team mixed league, you know so much about pitchers
Yeah.
that you ride waves that like. Anyway, nonetheless, that was more of a humble brag.
Yeah.
What?
Tell me, could you have any picks for me?
No, you know what's so funny?
I
My
lose
team
all the
said
time.
our league has been broken, and I boycotted of like paying attention, and so I've been really checked out this year by comparison. But what I haven't been checked out on because I picked him up 3 years ago when he was a non-prospect, Eddie Rosario needs to be heralded and exposed, not hidden, and that is what baseball is incapable of.
Yeah.
You give me Eddie Rosario right now, I'll show you a fucking star. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I know what to do with that. And even the NFL, which has a ton of shit, it has 53 players, it has fucked up locker rooms, and let's talk about what it really has, which is a crazy racial undertone right now in America. Still with that, Juju Smith-Schuster's running around the whole world and creating a fucking media empire
Yeah.
and in a tough town like Pittsburgh. And so, look.
How do you bring more ethnicity and more color and more youth to baseball?
Baseball has
I'm
it.
going to give you Aaron Judge.
Baseball
Just letting
has
it
it.
come out.
Is there a more marketable guy than Aaron
baseball's
Judge?
biggest stars
Yeah.
are fucking Latino.
Yeah.
Like baseball won. Baseball actually won. America is Hispanic and Latino in fucking perpetuity for the next 100 years, and the biggest Latino athletes and Hispanic athletes play in Major League Baseball. They're not in the NBA.
Yeah.
They're not in the NFL.
Right.
Like it's won. Bam, and the culture of not being about their players has completely put it in this spot. And we're the best summer sport. We're the best you come to the ball game sport. Cool, until fucking soccer is going to take its lunch over the next 20
I'm going to
years.
wear the 30 owners hat, and I'm going to say, but Gary, you have to understand, BAM was created in 15 years to a $3 billion company. We just sold 80% of that to Bob Iger and Disney.
Yeah. Here's what you did, my friend. That's awfully nice, and it's good for you, 83-year-old Charlie, when you die. But you basically are going to be known from a legacy standpoint as the owners that fucking lost the sport. And by the way, I know a lot of 83-year-old Charlies, and you know what their answer to that is? I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And guess what? Mazel tov.
Yeah.
But that's why baseball's in deep shit.
Yeah.
And guess what? Horse racing and boxing had the people that sucked the money out of that sport in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and it paid the price. So,
Yeah.
like, everybody who's like, no, are you out of your mind? Do you understand how sports work? Do you understand in 1960, nobody in America gave a fuck about professional football? That's 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't get it.
I was actually on Twitter's like blacklist. I was one strike away from being banned
wait,
forever
why?
because I was just tweeting Cubs home runs. I was just tweeting videos of Cubs home runs. I swear to God, I had to
believe you.
stop. I had to stop.
And what happened?
I had to stop.
Why?
Because they were going to literally
Because
kick me
bam!
off Twitter
Wow.
because I was tweeting Cubs home runs. It was yeah.
That
I
is the
swear to
most
God.
insane
Yeah.
shit of all time.
Yeah. It was.
I
had
would
to
have
create burner.
I would have
accounts and
paid
everything.
you.
Yeah.
I would have
But
paid
let me ask you
you to do
right,
that.
right.
But if a kid does it, they don't mess with kids, right?
Sure they
No,
do.
they do. Of course they do. They'll mess with anyone.
Alex,
and I'm basically
they have
promoting for 'em.
suffocated. They have suffocated the sport.
Yeah.
The owners have suffocated it for the $3
I
billion.
did not know that part.
Yeah.
It's Alex. The number one thing that has happened. Listen, guys, I keep using Vince McMahon because he deserves a lot of credit. Why did wrestling explode? Because he went on MTV. Because he knew Saturday Night Live was working. Saturday night's main event for us old timers. These are unbelievable day trading of attention execution by Vince. I can't watch what's happening in baseball without being upset. And the Trout comment was all. It just
Yeah.
set me completely.
That was- yeah,
I'm
that
like,
was
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you throwing that? Like, are you kidding me? And like the Baez thing drives me batshit crazy because the guy is like,
Yeah.
he's stealing home like as often as he possibly can because he's got so much
More
charisma.
often than he walks.
And he's hot. He's handsome.
he's
I mean,
very
the guy's a
hot.
Stud.
Very hot.
It's
Humble,
very
unbelievable.
hot.
He's
Yeah.
just.
Gary, so let me ask you a couple business questions
Yeah.
that I have because
Yeah.
I'm interested is, there's phases in life, right?
Yep.
You start, 3 phases I said. You start building your name, your net
Yep.
worth, your equity. Then you get to the middle ground, which you said
Yes.
you're kind of at.
Yes.
And then there's like the fuck you money where I'm that 83-year-old where I don't care anymore.
Yes.
You told us a little bit about how to build equity, enterprise value,
Yes.
and liquidity. Once you have some liquidity, in 2018, where are we in the cycle?
Yeah.
Where do you like to invest and deploy your capital?
So for me, I have no idea where we're in this cycle, and as you know, most people don't.
Right,
Right?
of course.
Macroeconomics are almost impossible to figure out. For me, I'm at 42. I'll just be very transparent. It's very simple. I pour everything back into the Vayner machine, which is being built to absorb a lot of business when the economy collapses. I don't want to nerd this up for everybody. You'll be bored. But when the world melts, Coca-Cola and BMW and all these companies are going to care where their money goes in marketing because they're going to have half as much. And that's where VaynerMedia, my company, is going to thrive versus kind of the incumbents, right? That's where I'll be UFC and esports to everyone else's baseball, right? But if you're asking me where I'm putting my money, the only place I put my money outside of my own shit is Amazon and Facebook. Because I think that Zucks and Bezos are playing I don't give a fuck about tomorrow. Like, even look at Facebook. Like, that's not rattling Facebook going down 20% in stock because they're playing for the long game.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it too because I bought a lot of Facebook.
Yeah, so you obviously have invested in a ton
Yes.
of places. You invested in Twitter,
Yes.
Facebook,
Yes.
Tumblr. By the way, side note: when you invested in Tumblr, was there still porn on Tumblr?
There's still porn on Tumblr.
No,
now.
there isn't.
Oh
Come
my
on,
God, there was tons of
not
porn.
real.
When I
That's
inve- I
that was
invested in-
that's the
Tumblr
I
a
invested
dating
in-
site?
No,
I
it's a
invested-
blog. It's a blog site, and they took all the porn off and ruined it. Was that you? Did you do that?
In July of 2009. No, I didn't do that.
Okay,
In
so you-
2009,
all right,
I invested
good.
in Tumblr.
I just wanted to check.
And it was all junior high kids.
Yeah.
And my thesis was, oh shit, this might become like Facebook and Twitter
Because of the
Because
porn.
if the junior high kids stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, Tumblr was built on
It
porn.
was big porn. Yeah,
You know what
big
else was
time
built on porn?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, internet. The internet. The entire internet. So wait.
The
so
whole thing.
so you invested in all these companies. What makes you say, all right, Gary, I'm going to invest in these guys? Is it a person or is it an idea?
Both. In
Okay.
2007, 8, 9, 10, when I made all my money, people were shitting on the internet still. They didn't realize how big it was. So it was a moment in time where I was like, uh-oh, people don't get what's really happening. And then I systematically met people by people. And like David Corp was like a mass creative genius. That's what Tumblr was. Zucks was like,
Yeah.
it was like young A-Rod. Like it took him 2 at-bats. I was like, fuck, that guy is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was really collecting back in the day, just to give you some daps,
Mm-hmm.
like that's what Zucks was. Like 4 minutes in the meeting, I'm like, fuck.
Right.
This nerd is going to rule the world.
Right.
I'm like, take all my money.
Right.
So they were at this point, I'm jockey and horse. For me to invest, I have to believe in the person and the idea. I lost all my money. In the companies that I've lost money, it was one or the other. I'm like, oh, she's a ninja. I don't love her idea, but she's a ninja. I lost those. And then, fuck, I love this. Where I lost the most money, which I won't make that same mistake, I love the idea. I made pretend that I would run it because I'm a good jockey, and I didn't anticipate the kid not
So
being
what
capable.
was it? What was the one that you're like, that's the one that got away? The idea that got away?
The
The
two
girl or the business?
Yeah, both.
Pam Moses on the girl and on the business, I would say Venmo.
Okay.
Venmo, I was right. I invested in it. I was in early. They sold too early and left $1 trillion on the table. And then Yobongo. I know it's a funny name. Yobongo was people discovery. In essence, it was Tinder 2 years early. I was upset. Grindr was a male dating, for gay men in America was crushing. And I was like, this is going to happen for men and women. And so I was chasing Tinder, Yobongo, One, Highlight. These were all startups in 2009, 10, 11 I was investing in, hoping they would become Tinder.
Right.
Tinder was incubated internally at IAC.
Got it.
I have one for a young audience, and this could be for someone who is just about to graduate from high school, or perhaps somebody just graduated from Penn State or Columbia or FIU University, right?
Okay.
Penn State, yeah, my boy over here. The question that I have is, should that person, what I'm telling my kids is get as much school as you can, right? It's probably the wrong message, but kind of rich dad, poor dad, right? But what is your advice to someone who's out there? Should they be thinking about going to graduate school? Is there still a place for business school, masters? I believe there is, because I think fundamentally there's things you're going to learn there, mature, no longer drinking off kegs. What is your advice? Where do you sit with that?
Self-awareness. So if somebody actually thinks they're an entrepreneur at 15, 16 and has proved it, she sells blow pops or she has a website on Shopify. If you are truly an entrepreneur and you are going to take debt to go to college, I will punch you in the face and try to stop you. I couldn't believe in it less. If you want to work in this building at Boston Consulting, you better go to something solid undergrad and you better go Ivy League business school because you want to work at Boston Consulting, McKinsey, or Bain, as you mentioned it early. I think you have to figure out what you want in life and work backwards. I am unbelievably down on the business of education in America if you are trying to do entrepreneurial things or if, you know who I'm most scared of? I'll go to Wisconsin or Michigan or Florida, those kind of schools, and take on debt and think I'm gonna have a good job out of school. Those great schools kind of in the upper middle class of schools, they're getting suffocated. There's only room for Harvard and Stanford great jobs, but these unbelievably great schools, if mommy and daddy pay for it, and you can go to the big game and you fuck Ohio State if you're Michigan or vice versa and play that whole life and you get 4 years, you get to have some fun, you get to mature a little bit, get out of the house, cool. But only if you want a job, A-Rod. Like if you want a job.
How about if our audience wants to get rich? What's your advice to them?
I think a lot of people will get rich by having a job. I think there's a lot of people who are number sixes who want to be number ones, and they're coming up with the Uber of dry cleanings, and they're going to lose and go into depression. And so I'm telling them, hey, this entrepreneur thing that you think is cool, you think I'm cool, it fucking sucks. You're lonely, it's all on you. If you lose, it's a scarlet letter. Are you that kid? Because if you went to Horace Mann and then you went to fucking Yale, you might not be that person. You might be a great number 6. And so it's awesome to do that and then go to McKinsey and then become number 6 at Facebook or number 6 at a big company, and you will become rich. But if you're like me and you're from the dirt and you've always known that like sitting in a classroom isn't for you and you've shown a nice knack for flipping sneakers and things of that nature, if your parents are forcing you to go to college because it makes them feel good and you have to take on debt, it's time to stand up and have that conversation.
And would you tell them that take 100 because it's not as cool as job and you're not going to be stimulated, but you make 100, or go make 70, but do it with someone you're going to admire, respect, and they're going to teach you?
I would not only tell them to make 70, I'm very rogue on this. I would tell them to make 0 and live with 9 of their best friends an hour commute away. Like the amount of people I think
0 is a tight budget.
Yes, it is. But let me tell you where I'm going with this. Look, obviously, if you had a social media job for your enterprise right now, and like
I would hire you.
I respect. But if you want an internal person, and a kid could a lot of people think here free and they think it's about privilege. Well, of course, a white kid with a rich family can go free. Or when I look at my team's makeup, a lot of my not overly well-paid jobs in my company, especially on my team, are people who are just willing to eat shit for 5 years. People aren't willing to pay dues anymore. So to me, here's what's up. If you're willing to live in a shitty apartment with 5 people and eat shitty food in your 20s when you can still get away with it, but you get to fucking work with A-Rod because you admire him, and if you crush it then and want to move on, he puts you on where people know that you're the guy or the girl behind A-Rod Social, that $12 an hour job is a hell of a lot better than working at VaynerMedia for $52K. It just is. So this entire question is framed in the following. We have lived far too long in our society with one size fits all. Like right now, my biggest fear is that entrepreneurship is cool and everybody's going this route. When I was a kid, it was all school. Now I'm getting fucking 80,000 DMs from these kids like, yo, Gary Vee, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, I just looked at your last 6 posts. You're not an entrepreneur. You're fucking floating on a swan in a fucking pool in the Hamptons this weekend. You're fucking soft.
You gotta live rich to be rich. Like you gotta like show people like that's the
that
illusion.
fake it.
Wait, but okay, so you said
Yeah, that's
you
my
know
favorite.
someone
I'm
has
about to throw a I like wrestling. I'm about to hit you with a chair.
No,
that's
I'm
how
just
much I
telling
hate
you.
that shit.
This is
that's what
this-
you heard,
You were
right?
saying you
how
were
I
going to
fake
jump
my
up. I
way
think you
into
want to throw
A-Rod.
him off.
Fucking
I just told him I worked for him.
I get
and
it.
I worked for him.
I get it.
All right, but so you said the vision, like you have to
Yes.
have the vision. What about a guy like myself
Yep.
who basically like just kind of aimlessly walked through life and then one day, you know, joined Barstool and blogged? Like I'd say I'm the majority where it's like kind of figure it out later.
Yeah.
Like future me problem.
By the way, couldn't agree more because of the framework that we have in modern day parenting and society. We've had it too good. Like, you know, you could afford to aimlessly be fucking ridiculous and not think about shit.
I mean, I had a job. I wasn't like totally
Respect.
aimless, but I had a job. My point is more like
My
I
point-
went to college, then I
Yep.
got out of college,
Yep.
and I just like,
You
all
were
right, well, what do
sold.
I do now?
You were sold.
All right, I'll just do this job.
100%. And guess what? Then you get a job and you get a certain amount of money and then you buy dumb shit, which then forces you to stay in that job because fuck, you have an extra bedroom you didn't need or a fucking pair of Jordans that you didn't need. Like it's a fucking cycle. And so to me, it's like, look, happiness needs to be the ROI. You want to make 42 a year and hockey's your favorite thing ever and you work for fucking the NHL on a shitty job forever, shitty by pay standards. Look, rich can't be the ROI. Some people are driven by money and legacy and admiration. We all have our different shit. But you have, and by the way, you have to figure out what makes you happy. And for a lot of people, the chase of rich or success or notoriety is that you have to make it about the game, about the thrill of the hunt. And that's a million different versions. And then you just have to stop worrying about what people think of you. The biggest reason most people are unhappy is they buy shit based on judgment of others. Like they don't want to be judged for living in a shitty neighborhood or a shitty car, or it's just complete and utter lack of self-esteem.
Yeah. So you don't care at all. You don't care what other people think of you. Because I always think that, I'm in a line of work that, you know, I get judged every day for everything I do. And I could sit here and be like, I don't care what anyone thinks. But of course, at some point, you care what other people think.
Of course you care what people think. But my biggest thing is I care most starting with Tyler. Tyler knows everything about me. He knows my social security number by heart. I start with Tyler. I care.
Tyler, I'll see you after.
Write that
I
down.
care what
Yeah.
A-Rod thinks of me now more than the first time I met him because this is time number 4, conversation number 11. I'm going to care. I've been watching you from afar and like pumped for others. I'm going to care a hell of a lot more tomorrow than I did yesterday of how you think. So I think there's a spectrum. Like fucking Dick Pants 47 saying I'm a charlatan on Twitter. I have empathy to why he said it,
Right.
but
That's
caring.
interesting. I like that because, you know, I think that we get lost. You live online. I live online. Like, when you live online like that and you hear everything that everyone says, sometimes you care too much about what these people say online. And then we always joke, like, we'll have haters online, right? And then if we go to a bar or we meet some people out, they're all like, yeah, we love you. Like, we love everything you do. Those are the real people. Like, when you meet them in person.
By the way, I'll tell you, I have empathy for. I listen to people that don't like my stuff. First of all, I know my self-awareness matters, right? Like you have to, like when you curse and you have bravado and you want to win, like of course I'm going to rub people the wrong way. When I call out people's insecurities emotionally, that's like going right to the heart. Some people don't want to look in the mirror. So I'm empathetic. But yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting on it, which is like, look, I can, like, first of all, here's how I think about it. At some level, if somebody has time to consume your content and drill some hate on you, I'll be honest with you, this is real talk. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Like you have so much, like you're in a place in life, like the thought of me taking time to make somebody else feel bad is like the same way of me like drinking juice from the moon. It seems so foreign. Like why would I take 3 minutes of my time to consume a piece of content and then tell them they're a dick face?
Right.
Like that is the ultimate defense. So I go with empathy of, first of all, I understand how I can come across, so I have to be empathetic to that. And number 2, I default into like, shit, man. You know, and I don't think of it as like the guy sitting in his mom's house in his underwear and has nothing better to do. I don't think that.
No.
I think, wow, you're not happy. And thus, you're spending time trying to drag other people down into your unhappiness. And you could be in a BMW making $580 a year. Like, that's how I see it.
Gary, let me ask you, because I think we all love great plans, and plans are great, and you have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. We've all heard that. But I always say that we make plans and God laughs.
I love
right?
that. It's a big Russian saying in my family.
So, again, you mentioned 3 out of 10 takes you to the Hall of Fame. Entrepreneurs, out of every 10 business entrepreneurs, 9 of them fail, whatever it is.
And the numbers are way worse than that, by the way.
So there you go, worse than 90%. So
Yeah.
my question to you is, once you're in the ring and you get punched by Mike Tyson
Yeah.
right in the kisser, what are the entrepreneur? How do you react? Because to me, that's the difference between
Everything.
an amateur and a pro, and a
Brother,
pro and a champion.
You fucking nailed it. You're using all my favorite analogies too. That's why I probably love you. Like, brother, that's exactly right. Like, the biggest fear I have, and I brought it up again, and this is the reason I'm bringing this up, guys, is because I know who listens to this and will listen to this, and I know what's going on because I'm really living in the trenches. I have enormous fear for people that have been over-coddled going into entrepreneurship, because it's not if you get punched by Mike Tyson, it's when you do get hit by Mike Tyson. Oh, and by the way, Conor McGregor's choking you out, and oh, weird, some random person just dropped a fucking piano on your face. Like, this is a raw game.
That's bad.
That's bad.
That's bad.
And I think when
I've done bad.
I'm tapping out just
and
so we
look,
in this
I almost
analogy.
tapped out.
And I've already tapped
and I don't
out.
want to call him out, but actually I won't even. But
No, let's name names.
okay, fine. when you're on the baseball team at Penn because your daddy and granddaddy own a baseball team in Major League Baseball, and you made the team and you're on the team because of that, right?
Who are we talking about?
I'm not. That's all I'm going. People will figure it out real easy. To me, I'm not calling that kid out. I hate the system of that because I
Right.
think that's hurting that kid.
Yeah.
Because that kid gets tricked into thinking they're good enough. Fake environments is what I call it. That's what I love about
So
sports.
you have
no fake environments on the field.
Numbers don't lie.
Everything before the field, cool. On the field,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm scared about entrepreneurship, because we have a lot of kids whose grandma bought a library at the school, and he thinks that he's a fucking winner because of his
Right.
last name, and he's going to come up with his startup, and his dad and his mom and his grandmother are going to fund it behind the scenes quietly, but it's going to fail. And when it does, what that person does at 28, when he or she realizes they actually suck at this thing, I don't think they've been prepped. And I think we're raising zoo animals. And so I'm really worried about depression and suicide in the entrepreneurial game from a lack of self-awareness and because entrepreneurship is cool. Everybody, when I was growing up, wanted to be A-Rod, right? Or Dr. Dre. And now we see athletes and rappers wanting to be entrepreneurs. And they're all coming. And they all think they're going to be fucking Zucks. And 99.9 are going to fail.
right.
And so here's the thing. I don't know. And one of the biggest reasons I stopped investing is I have not figured out how to understand if somebody can take a punch until I watch them take a punch.
yeah.
And so a lot of my thinking is now second-time entrepreneurs. Because guess what? I can watch the film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. How many hours a night do you sleep?
6.
Okay. And now speaking
I'm a
from
big fan of sleep. Like,
Okay.
just while you...
I don't think you are. I think
no,
that's a
I think
lie.
that's why I'm jumping in.
Yeah.
I'll take 7, too. And, like, if I have
Oh, bad. That's
Listen-
you're lazy
You
now.
sleep with a phone, iPad. I mean, you got to
Nope.
be connected.
Nope, it's by my hand. It's like near me. It's not like in some other room. But sleep, there's no debate about this. Like, sleep is important. To me, it's not about how much I sleep. It's what I'm doing when I'm awake.
Okay.
Like,
It's impossible you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night to take a piss.
I don't piss at
and
night.
not look at your phone.
I don't drink water.
What?
Which is a huge thing that I need to
general?
fix. In general.
You're not promoting that,
my
are you?
my vulnerability right now in life is the lack of, I'm in perpetuity dehydrated.
Got it.
So it became my natural state. I do not go to the bathroom when I sleep at night.
Does that-
I literally, this is how I go to sleep. Midnight or 1.
You
and
got a
then
healthy
6,
prostate. Yeah.
For now.
Alarm?
Yeah, alarm. Alarm's
Wait,
the only
so
way I
what
wake up.
so what happens when you wake up? Because I
grab my phone.
Yeah, but do you get up and you're like, I'm attacking the day? Because I
grab my
lay
phone.
in bed for like 2 hours.
I
and
grab my
look at
phone.
Twitter.
I'm literally one minute after the alarm is off, I'm taking a shit and making sure nothing's on fire. And 15 minutes later, I'm in the gym. Every day.
Never a day you're like,
No.
kind of just want to hang out.
Gym meaning 5 days a week or 7?
7.
Including
That
Sundays?
sounds excessive.
I have a full-time trainer travel with me. Where's that picture?
Are you
I've lost
are
some
you,
good
are
weight
you
in the
trying
last-
out for
What do
the
you
jets
bench?
or are you
No,
gonna buy the
no,
jets?
What do you bench?
Someday, now 195. Nothing
With a
crazy.
full-time trainer?
With full-time trainer.
Any of the more
because
weights,
I'm
yoga?
doing soft tissue.
You're
know
doing,
soft
you're
tissue
doing more
working
high
out?
rep stuff?
best.
Dude, soft. Do you know this about soft tissue work?
Are you looking at me?
No, but this like
No, I
it
do
has
not
nothing
know
to
the
do with
soft
like
tissue
no,
work.
that doesn't have anything to do with like that you could lose 15. It has to do with the fact that like this is something I don't think normal people know. Like most of my back issues wasn't like a disc. It was fucking soft tissue work. I just needed to fucking break up the fascia. Anyway, that's some nerd shit.
Is it some lifting, cardio? What?
Yep, all of the above. Tomorrow,
reps?
6 a.m. basketball tomorrow. I'll wake up at 6 a.m.
I'll
basketball.
be there. Where are we playing?
14
wanna
to 1st.
see
You want
me
to
in the
play?
post.
We're serious.
6 a.m.?
6 a.m. Too
Yeah,
early.
I'll definitely be
Yeah,
there.
too early.
Yeah, no,
Too
I'll
early.
be there.
Okay, Tyler's going to hook you up, man.
I'll take you down in the post.
Let's go.
Will you guard me in the post?
Probably. I don't
probably
think
not.
you're strong. I think you look soft.
Oh man,
Going back to soft
wow,
tissue.
wow.
Yeah, I think you
okay,
look
I'm
soft.
a millennial. I'm a coddle. Well, I am like that is the like this. I'm speaking from the millennial perspective because I sometimes just wake up and I just lay in bed or I.
It's not a millennial thing. There's
yeah.
plenty of lazy fuckers
Twitter, but
that are
not
older
porn?
too.
No, it's Twitter. Just Twitter.
Okay, now,
Sometimes
I
it's
would
later to
argue
the
that
porn,
you're
but yeah.
doing work. Look, I would argue one of the reasons you've popped in culture is because I think you listen.
Okay.
So let's break it down.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons you've been successful is because you lay in bed for 2 hours and read Twitter and get a sense of the zeitgeist, which you then marinate
Yes,
in your
I
head
like this.
and then spit
so
out.
I'm working.
You are working.
Yeah.
I
This
would
is
argue.
like when I'm
Listen,
watching sports,
and Tyler
I'm
will
working.
tell you, I will have my inbox is my to-do list. So I'll have in my inbox on a flight like tomorrow when I go to London, 68, 147. Like this is like after going through 4,000 emails a day. These are like the 80 fucking 4 things I need to do to fucking run this empire that I hope I'm building. And I may go on the flight tomorrow, and if I get down the right rabbit hole on Twitter and Instagram DMs, I may go the whole 7-hour flight only reading comments and replying and leave
That's crazy.
money on the table because why I've become so good at understanding consumers is because I actually listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you remember when we hung out late that night, I was like, bro, get in your comments.
yeah,
I didn't do that because
That's where he found me.
I started doing it.
Yeah.
I believe in that shit the most because that's consumer insights. That's the shit that Bain and McKinsey gets paid $2 million to make a deck for, and they suck at it because they're fucking college kids, and that's where the real trench work is.
Huh. That's interesting. I like that spin zone. Cool. I like that. All right. I have some fast hitting questions
Go ahead.
for you. Okay. You guys are both very rich.
Okay?
All right. So, and I know we like talk about the entrepreneur,
Yep.
the rise and everything. Just tell me, 1, how cool it is to be rich, and 2, what's the most money you spent on something that you're like, this is just me being a rich guy flexing.
Yep.
Me?
Yeah, both.
I would probably say probably my first home, my big
Okay.
one, my nice one, where my daughters live.
Okay. Nice.
Mine's a little bit more interesting. So
Whoa. Careful
So
here.
how good is it? It for me, it's fine. Like I'm not as rich as people think because I pour all my money back into my businesses. I'm like on tilt, like really, and I haven't made the kind of level of dollars A-Rod or others have. The most flexing thing I get, which is I think kind of truly the way I think about flexing, but not most people's, is when the Jets roster gets set and locked in, I buy the custom jersey of the entire team and then start wearing longs. Like I'm going to wear Tom Hennessy's. Everybody's going to win their
what?
ready? On September 16th, when the Jets have their first home game against the Dolphins, who they're going to fucking destroy, eat at Steve Ross. When everyone goes
This
to
is
that
going
game.
to air after, so it's going to look really bad. If
Perfect. I hope they don't lose. When everybody wears their Darnold jersey, I'm going to be wearing a Tom Hennessy number 42 jersey. He's our long snapper. For me, that's flexing because that is kind of like, it's ridiculous to spend $150 per jersey on the gunner, on the fucking punter, on the backup middle linebacker, on the 4th string running back who's on practice squad and on the team. That is where I most flex.
Okay.
Spending $10,000 on jerseys for 9 guys that won't even be on. By the time this airs, 13 of the jerseys I buy on Labor Day weekend, they won't even be on the team.
So
'cause
where do those go? Where do you
in a
put-
special closet that when I buy the Jets in 29 years, I'm going to have every single Jets jersey I ever had hung throughout the stadium.
All right, wait. I want to get back to this. I have one more money question. I want
And
to
people
talk
will be
about
like,
the Jets.
holy
real
shit,
quick.
he has a fucking Ed Reed Jets
Yeah.
jersey. He only played 6 games. Like that kind of shit.
Okay.
Love it,
All
Reed.
right. We're gonna get to the Jets in a sec. But my other money question was, what's the most money you've given someone just randomly that you did a podcast with once?
I would say I'm willing to give you $830 right now.
Wow. Let's
Lock it
do
in,
it.
Tyler.
Yes.
Venmo
Okay.
him.
Nice.
Done.
Nice. Yeah. He
Give
just.
some random dude $1,400 on the last.
On the last Barstool.
Oh
Podcast.
yeah.
And I
But
did
he
give,
just
wait a
said
minute,
he'd
this
give
is
me
not true. I gave
830.
10,000 to the boys. Remember Dude Anderson, or was that 5,000? I give out money a lot.
Okay.
Actually.
All right. So
But-
yeah, I'll hit you up with that Venmo.
But I'll still give you $860.
Yeah. Okay. If I show up to basketball, then I'll have to come to basketball. That's
No,
fair.
just Venmo it in. Now.
All right. So the Jets. I want
Yes.
to talk about the Jets.
Okay.
So you want to own the Jets.
Yes.
That is like your dream to do.
That is my business
Do
ambition.
you really think that's going to be a good investment? Now, Alex obviously can speak to it too because he was in professional sports
Yes.
for forever.
I don't care about the investment.
Okay.
All I want to do is buy the Jets and win more championships than that piece of shit Bob Kraft up in New England, and then that will be the reason I'm doing it.
Okay. So what? And now, do you think he will be a good owner? Like because he's a wild man. I mean, you had some interesting owners, and do you think that Gary just going crazy popping off on Twitter is going to be?
I think it would be a great owner. Look, the greatest owner I've ever been around is the late George Steinbrenner, and it's because he had a lot of qualities like Gary. He was a forward thinker. He had balls of steel. He wanted to win at all costs. It wasn't about the money. It was about the process, and because of the process, he became a 7, 8, 9-time world champion. I think Gary can do the same.
Okay. All right. So
The cap is my issue.
Okay. You want to just. Why don't you buy a baseball team then?
Well, because I don't want to own the Yankees. You know what's really interesting about the Yankees and the Rangers?
You turn them down.
Is that they won me Charlie Hayes catch. This is crazy to me. What happened? Because and it happened with the Rangers too. And I'm looking at the garden from my office right now. Literally, they win. And talk about this is just real life. If you take my junior year high school yearbook right now and see what everybody wrote, there's more references to the New York Rangers than there are New York Jets, which would confuse a lot of the people that follow me because I make no references to the Rangers. They won, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
Like this unbelievable hunger for the process and the thrill of the hunt. It's why I love garage selling. You see all these tchotchkes? Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, where my life is now, far more exciting to me this is a good one. Finding this Thundercat for $1 at a garage sale last year on a Saturday, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and finding it was far more exciting than landing a $10 million deal for VaynerMedia, and it's not even close. And this is back to you have to know yourself. So for me, I want the Jets because I want the narrative of the story, and they haven't won. Like, for example, if Sam Darnold's all that I think he could be, and he wins a Super Bowl, I ask myself all the time, like, fuck, am I going to,
You're not
is it
gonna
going to
want
all
the
be
Jets
about the
anymore.
Knicks? Is it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like the dog chasing the car once you catch it.
I think that's right.
Okay.
That is absolutely my makeup.
So wait, you've kind of boxed yourself in then. So you want to own the Jets, but if the Jets win, you don't want to own the Jets.
I don't know.
So
But I
do you
fear-
want the Jets to win?
That's an interesting question.
You're now
So,
He won't have that
you
problem.
pickled
He said
yourself.
29 years. He
You
won't.
got yourself in a
Alex,
little
don't hurt my
pickle
feelings
here.
here.
I want
So,
to see you get
I'll
out.
tell
to own the
If my
Jets.
I don't see him. If my brother AJ was here, he would say he did not like the way I reacted to a playoff loss in 2004 in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, where Doug Bryan missed 2 field goals in the last minute.
Did you cry?
Everybody was crushed, and I, for some reason, and he knows me. He's like, he went right at it. He's like, this is some bullshit because you are fucking happy. What the fuck?
Yes.
And I wasn't happy.
You're a
I was
masochist,
dead.
masochist.
But there was
No,
a
he wants to
little.
own the Jets.
There was a little part
Without
of me.
a Super Bowl.
I will argue that the 09 and 10 losses at the AFC Championship game didn't hurt
So
as
you
much
actually
as.
okay, wait. So you're actually the #1 Jets hater in the world.
No,
right
honestly,
now,
listen. Right now,
until you're the
honestly,
owner.
look,
Love,
listen,
hate?
I'll
Yeah,
say
he's-
this.
no,
I'll,
he just-
no, I'll say this. I don't want to paint a bullshit picture. I want the Jets to win the Super Bowl this year. Like, if you told me that I will rip off 4 of your 5 fingers on your left hand, Jets Super Bowl appearance, not even victory, I'm in.
Ooh.
So I'm in. Actually 3, because I do believe in this thesis of like pinky thumb. You can still kind of navigate.
Yeah, you need to DM with those two
Got it.
thumbs.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it keeps you
Yeah,
balanced.
I'd still be able to
Yeah,
do something.
yeah.
So 3.
What's with you just like wanting to give away fingers and arms?
I want people to
And jump
understand
off
the
buildings.
severity. The
But
severity. Kat.
if you give them away so easily,
I
like
don't-
now, the price of a Gary V finger is plummeted from the start of this podcast.
That's true.
Because I know I can get it for like
I just want
basically
everybody-
having your kids
yeah.
sign up for a trophy league.
Well, that's right. That's true. I think that there's whether it's fingers or lines in the sand. I think we all have religion. To me, the Jets are my religion more than being Jewish. To me, my kids not being in leagues where they fucking give trophies to the 9th place team is religion more than anything else. I think I think we should all have things that are religion. Some are silly, some are important. Those are two of my religious
Hey,
beliefs.
Gary V, can I tell you about one of my religions?
Please.
Dan Marino.
Ooh.
And I got to share some Jet stories
we go.
because
Okay.
some of the most painful days of my childhood in Miami, in my $500
you?
per month rent that my
How
mother
old
was
were you?
paying.
How old are you right now?
Do I have to say that?
Please
I
don't
Yes.
ask
This
Alex.
No, I need it.
when you 43. I just
Great.
turned
So
43.
that means you're about to bring up 51-45, Wesley Walker.
Yeah, I mean, you got
And
it.
Monday Night Miracle is the greatest day of my life. You know
got
that,
it.
right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
But
mine.
you have the fucking fake spike,
We have the fake spike. Yeah, I go
which
back to that.
crushed me.
Yeah, Dan Marino was like the heroes of heroes, and I thought everything began. I was 15 years old. I went to the Dan Marino show. I stalked him. Kendall Town and Country in Kendall. I stalked him. I did great scouting report before Sabermetrics. I was into that stuff. And I knew they moved it. It was about 10 miles from my house. I got a taxi. I got a bus. I got there. And I see him coming out. And he's a 6'4", tan tail.
Yeah,
he
he's the
looked on
best.
fire.
I want to hook up.
And I was a little scared because
Yeah,
I
of
said,
course.
holy smokes, if this guy just turns me down, it's over. It is
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
And I said, Mr. Marino, I had a football. And my mother, who worked 2 jobs, she
Yeah.
served to the table that night. She gave me these like $50 these footballs. So I go, Mr. Marino, can you please sign this for me? And he had this great tan, blue eyes. He gets his arm around me. He goes, young man, I was 15. I was already a sophomore in high school. He goes, you're a good-looking athlete. And he pats me and he goes, you have a great, bright future. Gary, I went home. I didn't shower for a week.
Yeah.
I was so fucking happy. And I said, oh my God, I didn't grow up with a father. So a male figure putting his arm around me, who I loved and admired and watched every show at 12 and then watch every game. It was a life-changing experience.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is super important to me, and I'm asking you for the favors of favors.
Okay.
Because I won't judge you, but it's imperative you
I
tell me
won't
the
convert
truth.
to a Jet fan.
No,
Okay.
not that. Because of that experience,
Yeah.
when you first broke, did you do a very good job to try to do that as well, or were you too much in your own shit because you were so heralded
Yeah.
coming out? And I can imagine you were so young.
Yeah.
Do you feel judging? We're all different. There's plenty of
Yeah.
things we can judge ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you feel you delivered as the young star in Seattle to other kids and later through your career on that moment with Marino, or do you feel like it got lost a little bit in getting too much too fast as a kid? Tell me the truth. People are listening. They're going to go on Twitter and be like, fuck you, A-Rod. You fucking...
I'm gonna say-
So you can't be 100%.
And
I know
can't
that.
answer that in a vacuum because it's such
Yeah,
a
exactly.
great,
But
complex
what do you
question.
think?
But if you give me a minute, I'm going to try it.
Okay.
The answer is yes, no, yes, no. And what that
That's
means
exactly
is when I call it the innocent climb, as Pat Riley calls it, the innocent climb, you're trying to please everyone. You're happy. You're in a market like Seattle, unbelievable market.
yeah.
But everything I did was celebrated. So I got that false sense of like, oh, I can't make a mistake.
Right.
I could just run my mouth. I knew Reed represented me. And it was just great. Everything was a win. Then I went to Texas and I got a lot of money, $252.
I remember,
and I
brother.
became a jerk.
The worst.
And then I came to New York and I got confused. And all this shit that I said for the first 10 years of my career, they're all banging me over the head, and rightfully so, because it was stupid.
Yeah.
And then I got suspended.
Yeah.
And then my life changed.
Yeah.
And then I understood what it was to be a son, a father, a humbled person. I've had many talks with Reed, and I'm awake. For the first time in my life, I'm awake, I'm humbled, and I think now I'm doing it better than I've ever done it.
And you know what's crazy is, and I'm so fucking fired up you just went there. If I could achieve anything right now in the current state of the content I'm putting out, because I've exploded on Instagram, 15 to 25-year-old young males, they think their life's over at 22, and 22 and 30 fuck with me heavy. 22, right out of
Yep.
school, and 30. And these kids literally think they need to have everything figured out.
Yep.
They're fucked. 30 is like destroying people into short-term shortcuts. And I'm sitting here looking at the life you've lived, and you're like, I'm awake at 43. And with modern medicine, you're not even halfway home, brother.
Yeah.
You're not even halfway home.
I shouldn't talk about medicine, though.
Yeah.
Fair enough, brother. And I appreciate the joke, but like honestly, you're not even halfway home. And to me,
Gary, I wake up 6 out of 7 days, and I swear to you, like you guys are my 2 brothers, and I forgot that I played a day in the big leagues.
I believe you.
And when I wake up,
You know why? Do you know why I believe you?
I'm
Because
humble
you're
and
looking.
hungry.
Nah, you're looking forward.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The humility I
Yeah.
respect,
Yeah.
but it is far more. The humility is incredible, and it's why. Look, your score amongst people, like culture, like your popularity isn't that you're not playing, it's people are seeing in very subtle ways what you do when you broadcast, a little bit here, like just like people are seeing it. Like you can't hide.
Yeah.
You can't fucking hide. The same way they saw the confused state, they see like, oh shit. And by the way, America's the best at this. Build up, tear down. Like fucking, we built up Britney Spears. We tore that Pearl girl down so fucking fast. And then immediately right back, we're like, Britney's back, bitch. Like,
Right.
like we are in love with
America loves fives.
We love it.
Tell them that.
America loves fives. If you're 10, they're going to bring you to a 5. If you're 1, they're going to raise you to a 5. 1 to 5.
I think
That's why I
that's
flourish.
interesting. 5 is my favorite number.
This has been awesome,
You're a
man.
solid 5.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
This has been a lot of fun, man.
Thank
I
you for
have
having
one
me.
last
Yeah.
question. We'll wrap it up. Why do you think we should hire you at A-Rod Corp?
I don't think
This
you
has all
should.
been an interview.
Honestly, my
I'm not convinced.
We couldn't afford 'em.
I'm like the thought of trying to sell, and Reed will tell you this as we've been banging around some stuff. It's insane how much I hate selling. There's only one way I
No,
want
I'm
to sell.
not saying selling. You
You
come
asked me to
work
tell
for
you
us.
why.
No, you come work for us.
Oh, why
Yeah.
should you? Oh, you know what? That might have been the greatest tell
Yeah.
of my psyche.
Right
that
there.
right there is my favorite
Bro,
moment.
chill out.
Because
We're not telling you got to sell your company.
no,
We're just asking if
I-
you want to work for
no,
us.
it's really funny. I'm actually really, honestly, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody watching or listening to this is confused. It has never crossed my mind to work for somebody. And that's what an entrepreneur is. And you got to look for that.
But it's A-Rod.
Right.
I get it. And
gonna
I
fight
love
it.
them.
I don't think
I
we
love
get
them.
it.
And
I
if
think
I
we're
look
gonna-
deep into those eyes
Best
long
boss
enough,
in the
I
world.
get it.
I
I
think-
understand
Best
how all
boss in
these
the
girls
world.
got tricked.
So Gary, first of all, we've now become friends, and
Yes.
I really, really admired you for a long time, and even more so now that I've gotten to know you. But I like your realness. I love how much work you put into it. I love that you actually have the original PhD, and I'm not talking about from a great school or any
Yep.
school. Poor, hungry, and driven, and you're the epitome of what entrepreneurs should look like. So thank you for being the gold standard.
Can I ask you a
and
quick
thank you
question?
for
Because that
spending
was
time
very
with us.
sweet, and I
Yeah.
want to just throw it because I'm curious
Sure.
about your perspective. When I say to you, you watched a player put in the work to change the outcome of his career, do names flush to your head real quick? Where like
On or off the field.
both, actually. I would argue both. Like, to me, I'm so fascinated by sports and business parallel. I do believe that entrepreneurship is stunningly similar to sports because this is why I hate fake environments and too much venture capital and all this stuff, because those things take out the merit. In sports, everything up to the point, and when you get on the field, it's fucking over. Like now it's fucking prime time. Like there's no hiding. It's why I love like business. Like the reason I want the economy to collapse is not because I want carnage in the street and depression era. It's just that I want everybody to be exposed for their truth.
Right.
Because the merit of the game gets cleared up. I guess what I'm asking you, when you give me that compliment, it means a lot to me because I think a lot of it has been willed and put in the work. I'm curious when I say that, is there like a pitcher or a catcher or a backup catcher when you think, holy shit, that kid's skill was like kind of, but literally just watching, like knowing before practice, after, film. Like the Ed Reed story about the film of the player breaking the huddle, like that's fucking hours of film study. I guess I'm asking, when I say that, do you have those parallels in sports where
Yeah.
like, oh, those 3 or 4 guys like fucking willed their careers into shape?
I can tell you 2 right off the bat. One is
Please.
a Red Sox, one is a Yankee.
Please.
One is Brett Gardner.
Yeah.
Who, when he came in, I thought he was.
Yeah, I remember. By the way, I passed him on him in waivers. I looked at every data point. I'm like, fuck this guy. He's not going to be
I
good.
said, who is the
You
little
didn't see
guy?
the analytics.
Who's
Totally.
the little guy with no hair in the
Yep.
in locker wearing 72?
Yep.
That doesn't look like he belongs here. And guess what? Not only has he belonged, but he's become the modern day Paul O'Neill for the New York
So
Yankees.
crazy true.
Amazing. Good South Carolina young man. The other one is Dustin Pedroia. If all this analytics crap, which drives me crazy, I think analytics, there's a place for it, but there's a human element that is enormous and the blend is perfect. You type in his algorithms and you come out and you're like, this guy can at best play for a mid-range college. Instead, he's won MVP,
It's
2 World
absurd.
Series, MVP, because what you can't judge is the character.
The gray.
all of
Couldn't-
that.
By the
All
way,
of that.
if it was all black and white, the number 1 pick in every draft would fucking go on to the Hall of Fame. Because that's what they're fucking trading on.
right.
Yeah.
And Larry Bird would have never come out of Indiana State.
I couldn't agree more.
I like
you, man.
that question. You basically asked like, who's the most like Wayne Corbett?
Yeah, I mean Wayne's a perfect.
Yeah,
That's
it's
exactly. That's like.
It is
you know,
grit.
It's there's a lot more, which is like the work and then the weight. You know, the weight room's interesting to me. now I'm really getting nerdy because of the sports agency. I'm like, wow, I don't think I understood one enormous variable, which is a lot of these kids don't go to big time programs in college. Thus, the regimen and the workout regimen and the weight room and all this stuff isn't in place. And when they make that leap to the pros and they have it in their heart and their brain, having A+ weight room, and it's kind of interesting. And then what about circumstances? I have no clue what the veterans in Seattle did or didn't do for you, but I'm unbelievably fascinated by, did Brett get lucky because some old school outfielder or one of the coaches was an outfielder, or they see the Jets? There's a kid, Donahue, out of a small school who's an outside linebacker for them right now. White kid, blonde hair. The Jets also have a coach on their team named Kevin Green, right? Who's a Hall of Famer, right? Who, I know that Kevin Green looks at that kid with the long blonde locks and and the white kid with speed, and he goes, "Oh shit, that's me." Do you know what that means? An extra 30 minutes of film.
Yeah.
That's human. That's human. And so if Donahue gets drafted by the Bengals and the coach doesn't see himself in him, but now he's a Jet, and
this
the coach
is a very Jet thing to wonder too, because it's like, would Christian Hackenberg be good if he wasn't on the shitty Jets?
No, Christian Hackenberg.
Probably not. He
No,
probably
Christian
would've sucked no matter
Hackenberg
what.
is like McCagnon's black eye, is what it is.
But it's like the best being like, if he wasn't on the Jets, would he actually be good? Maybe. Like if Tom Brady was on the Jets, he probably would have been out of the league in 2 years.
No, Tom Brady is a Hall of Famer because Tom Brady wasn't the starting quarterback of his college, and that chips, man.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by chips. Chips on shoulders.
Yeah.
Give me chips on shoulders, like fucking the PhD, the way you
Yeah.
break it down.
Yeah.
Look what 3G, the biggest private equity firm in the world that owns Budweiser, look what they do. They go into the fucking slums of Brazil and they look for chips and then they pay for them to go to education. Gray, black, and white. It's so obvious out here.
Cut
Yeah.
overhead. Warren Buffett's favorite partners.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right,
Thank you,
Gary,
guys.
thank you.
All right.